Hey everyone, and welcome back to part 29 of our IPDRG Masterclass. I'm so thrilled to have you here as we keep decoding the crazy complexities of healthcare coding. Now, before we really get going, if you are enjoying this lesson, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and share it with friends for this free course on Decode Healthcare with Harshal. Okay, today we're tackling some of the most critical and honestly frequently misunderstood ICD-10 PCS coding guidelines, multiple procedures, and discontinued operations. So grab your notes, because we've got a lot of precise rules to cover that are absolutely going to elevate your coding accuracy. Let's do a super quick recap to ground ourselves before jumping into the new stuff. In part 28, we totally mastered the nuances of devices and qualifiers. Remember how the sixth character in our PCS codes is dedicated to devices? That's putting in non-biological or biological materials to monitor, assist, or perform a physiological function. We also demystified the seventh character qualifiers, which give us that highly specific extra detail, like, whether a biopsy was diagnostic. Keeping that 7-character foundational structure in your head is going to be incredibly vital for what we're doing today.
All right, here is our quick game plan for today. 1. The multiple procedures guideline. 2. Discontinued and canceled operations. 3. The diagnostic biopsy rules. 4. Clinical case workthroughs. And finally, 5, a summary and a quick teaser for our next lesson. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The Multiple Procedures Guideline.
So, one of your absolute biggest challenges as an inpatient coder is staring down a massive, complex operative report and figuring out, wait, do I report one single all-encompassing code here, or do I need multiple codes for the same surgical episode? Well, here is the baseline logic you've got to memorize. Distinct objectives equal multiple codes. The official guidelines make it pretty clear. If multiple procedures, defined by distinct objectives, are performed during the same operative episode, well then multiple codes are assigned. Basically, you have to think exactly like the surgeon. What were the unique distinct goals of this surgery? If they were trying to accomplish completely different clinical objectives on the body, you literally cannot just lump it all into one single code.
Let's actually break down the 4 specific scenarios under Guideline B 3.2 where you absolutely must report multiple procedures. First up, Guideline B 3.2a. This covers when the exact same root operation is performed on different body parts that have distinct PCS body part values. Second, Guideline B 3.2b applies if the same root operation is performed on the same body part but using different approaches or devices. Third, Guideline B 3.2c. This one is for when multiple distinct root operations are performed on the exact same body part, like say a destruction and a bypass. And finally, fourth, Guideline B 3.2d covers when an intended procedure is attempted using one approach but fails and is converted to a completely different approach, or it's just discontinued before completion.
The official AAPC guidelines illustrate this perfectly. Just looking at Guideline B 3.2c, for multiple distinct root operations with distinct objectives performed on the same body part, consider the destruction of a sigmoid lesion and then the bypass of the sigmoid colon, because destroying a lesion and altering the route of the tubular body part are 2 totally different distinct objectives. They have to be coded separately. And then looking over at Guideline B 3.2d for converted approaches, a laparoscopic cholecystectomy that gets converted to an open cholecystectomy, that requires 2 codes. You need one for the endoscopic inspection that was attempted and a second for the open resection that was actually completed.
Section 2. Discontinued and canceled operations. Okay, so what actually happens when things don't go according to plan in the OR? Because medical procedures are inherently unpredictable, right? Sometimes a patient has a bad reaction, or the anatomy itself just prevents the surgery from continuing. Well, here is how Guideline B 3.3 instructs us to handle it. Rule 1. If the procedure is discontinued before any root operation is performed, you just code the root operation inspection of the body part or approach that was accessed. Essentially, you only looked, you didn't treat. Rule 2. If the procedure is discontinued after a root operation is partially completed, you code the root operation that was actually performed up to that point. You never ever code for the intended procedure if it wasn't actually accomplished. And the crucial point for this is found right here in the guidelines for discontinued procedures. Imagine a uretoscopy with an unsuccessful extirpation of a ureteral stone. The surgeon goes in with a scope intending to take out solid matter, the stone, which is the root operation extirpation. But it's unsuccessful. They have to abort. Because the extirpation wasn't achieved, we actually downgrade the code. We only code the inspection of the ureter. Remember, you code what was factually done, not what was wished for.
Moving on to Section 3, the diagnostic biopsy rules. Now, this is a highly specific exception to the multiple procedures rule, and honestly, it frequently trips up even the most experienced coders out there. The guideline states that if a diagnostic excision, so a biopsy, is followed by a definitive therapeutic excision or resection at the exact same procedure site during the same operative episode, you code only the therapeutic excision or resection. It's like the bigger procedure just swallows the smaller one. For example, if a biopsy of the breast is immediately followed by a partial mastectomy at that same site, the diagnostic portion is completely absorbed by the larger definitive therapeutic procedure. You just code the partial mastectomy.
Section 4, Clinical Case Workthroughs. All right, it is time to apply these foundational rules to some real-world clinical scenarios, exactly like you'll do in your professional coding careers when you're analyzing a physician's documentation. Let's look at case 1. The patient undergoes a diagnostic EGD, which is an endoscopy, where the physician takes a biopsy of the stomach to check out a suspicious mass. While the patient is still in the exact same operative episode, the rapid pathology results come back malignant, and the surgeon immediately proceeds to perform a laparoscopic gastric resection. So, step 1, we identify the diagnostic biopsy. Step 2, we identify the definitive therapeutic procedure. Step 3, we apply our biopsy rule. Because the therapeutic resection happened at the same site during the same session, it completely overrides the initial diagnostic biopsy. So we're going to generate just one single code for the therapeutic gastric resection. Moving right along to case 2. Let's test our converted approach knowledge. The operative report states the intended procedure was a laparoscopic cholecystectomy, basically removing the gallbladder with a scope. But halfway through, the surgeon notes some really dense adhesions and has to convert to an open cholecystectomy by making a large abdominal incision. So, what do we do here? Step 1, note the intended laparoscopy. Step 2, identify the conversion to an open approach. Step 3, apply our guideline. We literally cannot just code the open surgery. We must code the endoscopic inspection to account for that initial work and approach, plus a second code for the successful open resection.
Let's actually look back at the exact source text from the AAPC guidelines to really anchor this. This right here is why we rely on the official rulebook. It explicitly uses this exact scenario as the prime example. Laparoscopic converted to open equals endoscopic inspection and open resection. Memorize this pattern, folks, because you are going to see converted procedures constantly in real-world and patient coding. Section 5, Summary and Teaser. I highly recommend taking a quick screenshot of the summary matrix right now. It acts as a fantastic decision tree for you to navigate those really tricky operative reports. Just follow the logic. If there are distinct objectives, code multiple procedures. If an approach is converted, code the inspection of the old approach plus the root operation of the new approach. If a surgery is stopped before the root operation is reached, code the inspection only. And finally, if a diagnostic biopsy is immediately followed by a resection at the same site, code the therapeutic resection only. Keep this matrix handy. It's basically your golden key to accuracy. Excellent work today, class. Next up in the masterclass is part 30, where we're going to dive into a completely different section of the ICD-10 PCS manual. Section 1, Obstetrics Procedures and Delivery Guidelines. And let me tell you, it requires a whole new way of thinking about body parts and root operations. But before we go, I want you to ask yourself this. If the rules for a simple discontinued surgery are this complex, how in the world are we going to code a procedure that involves two distinct patients at the exact same time, the mother and the baby? Think about it. If you are enjoying this lesson, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and share it with friends for this free course on Decode Healthcare with Harshal. Keep studying, stay focused, and I will see you in the next explainer.